consider.
A proposed U.S.-Russia summit over Ukraine has been called off by the White House, according to Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Tuesday.
At this point, that is certainly not in the plans.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, along with his French counterpart, canceled respective meetings with Russia's foreign minister after weeks of diplomacy failed to end the crisis.
Now that we see the invasion is beginning, and Russia has made clear its wholesale rejection of diplomacy, it does not make sense to go forward with that meeting at this time.
Western nations and Japan have also punished Russia with new sanctions for ordering troops into separatist regions of eastern Ukraine. Canada and Australia have joined the U.S., EU, Britain, and Japan with plans to target Russian banks and the wealthy. Germany, meanwhile, halted a major pipeline project from Russia. All have threatened to go further if Moscow launched an all-out invasion of its neighbor. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered more than 150,000 troops near Ukraine's borders, according to U.S. estimates, and ordered soldiers into the separatist Donetsk and Luhansk regions to keep the peace. The U.S. dismisses the justification as nonsense.
To put it simply, Russia just announced that it is carving out a big chunk of Ukraine.
On Tuesday, President Joe Biden announced military plans to bolster NATO's eastern flank. An official told Reuters that would see 800 infantry soldiers and up to 8 F-35 fighter jets move up to the area. Putin has said he's open to finding diplomatic solutions, but that the interests of Russia won't be compromised.
Investments. And I know you love being, nailed down on day-to-day moves, Charlie. But in all seriousness, what do you make of the market strength here and the kind of trading that you anticipate in the coming months?
Yeah, I think the market is looking to history and saying that international crisis, Iran problems, Libya problems, Syria, whatever, the market has been able to rise through them. And the market is hoping that this is going to be temporary. Obviously, if everybody calms down and Russia taking control of 2 eastern provinces of the Ukraine, that won't economically have that big an impact. So that is what the market is hoping. I hope the market is right. I'm not sure it is, but that is why the market is resilient.
Would you change your strategies at all if we go back below the lows or if we hold them? And does that make a difference to you?
It's very important when we talk about the lows and the market. We have such a strange market right now with the S&P 500 still being dominated by large cap tech stocks, which can perform very differently. I mean, this is our value stocks, which you and I talk about all the time, are killing these tech stocks this year. And so I'm not overly concerned about the S&P being down 10% because my stocks are not down 10%, and my stocks I don't think are going down 10%. But if I owned a lot of no earnings, high growth, high multiple stocks, I think we can go a lot lower.
What about Viacom CBS?
So you guys always bring this up. It has obviously been painful. That is a name that we still think has a great library. We think has got a good year coming up. Paramount Plus is actually growing. But the last earnings report, they indicated a desire or willingness to spend billions of dollars on new programming. That's always tough. So it's not going to generate the kind of cash that we had hoped. I still think it's cheap here, but I got to admit, we never love when a company changes its strategy.
Sure. And I think, again, I point that one out, just kind of the one that doesn't make your point. But the rest, for the value versus tech trade, I think people are trying to figure out if that's worth chasing right now or if the market itself is worth chasing right now. We're facing headwinds like inflation that, even though that can be kind of a discouraging thought, even for companies that might have pricing power or what have you. I mean, it makes people feel maybe there's no alternative, but they don't feel great about holding on to a lot of these names.
No, you're absolutely right. And I don't, believe me, I'm not saying that the overall stock market can't go down because inflation causes higher interest rates, and higher interest rates tend to punish growth stocks, which are overweighted in the S&P 500. So I'm not trying to paint a picture that the broad market can't go down. I do think value stocks that trade at very reasonable multiples, Goldman Sachs trading at 1.3 times book, our beloved Mosaic and Apache trading at 6 and 5 times earnings. There are lots of Borg Warner, which makes electrical car powertrains, trading at 9 times earnings. There are a lot of great companies that are going to be fine, but I don't want to deny the point that higher interest rates are not